Alkimi is a decentralized ad platform. The opportunity is $750 billion. We are the first company to be building on the full SWE stack, and we're super excited to be working on the SWE network. So the first iteration of Alkimi, we essentially built our own blockchain because the finality window for ad transactions is 200 milliseconds, which most blockchains can't handle. It was clear to us that we were going to have to create a different object, which is OpenRTB, and then also have that transact in a very short amount of time.
That's true.
And when we were building it, we always had in mind that we were going to be connecting to a layer one because that adds extra auditability and security. Obviously, we have been going since 2023, but we haven't had that part of the exchange yet. So do you want to talk briefly about how we came to the conclusion of working on SWE?
True. So let's look at what are the challenges that are involved in building an ad platform on Web3 rails. Number one, the number of transactions that any ad platform deals with is humongous. We currently deal with around 10 to 12 million ad transactions every day, which is about 30 million odd ad impressions a day. And this is only going to grow as the scale of operations of the exchange grows. So that number is going to go up. Number two is each of these ad impressions, we call them, which is every ad that is delivered on a website or a mobile app to a user, is referred to as an impression. And the value associated with each of these impressions is tiny. We talk about CPMs, which is cost per mille, which is the amount of money that the advertiser is willing to pay for 1,000 such ad impressions. And when we're talking about $5 CPM, the value associated with each of these ad impressions is 1,000th of $5, which is half a cent. We are talking about scale in terms of number of ad impressions and the value, which is minute. If we then look at what it takes for us to validate all of these ad transactions, ad impressions, whether they are delivered in the right way or not, and then notarize them on the chain, it would take a lot of processing power. And also it would take quite a large amount of gas fees in order to notarize all of these transactions on, let's say, a chain like Ethereum. We will need to have a very, very efficient roll-up mechanism, a very, very efficient notarization mechanism, where all of these transactions can be notarized at scale in a very cost-effective manner. And this is a problem that we should solve, not just for today, but for the years to come. We need to make sure that as the number of transactions going through Alkimi scale, we are also able to support and provide the same level of transparency, auditability, efficient supply chain, and financial reconciliation in as efficient a manner as possible.
So when we actually first met the SWE team, it was really a meeting of minds because they'd worked on the DM project at Meta, and they really understood intimately the issue in the advertising industry because Facebook's biggest product is advertising. So when we explain advertising and blockchains to people, if they understand both of those things, they understand that it is the best solution for all of the problems that exist within the ad space. And I think that when we first started talking to them, we kind of understood the SWE network and the advantages it had, but then there is now a full stack as well, which provides a lot of solutions for the problems that we were facing.
Very true. In fact, what impresses me the most about the Miston Labs suite of products is that it is made for advertising. It is made for scale. It is made to resolve the problems that we have been talking about so far. Let me go into a little more detail. Number one, we spoke about lack of transparency and auditability. And number two, we spoke about scale. Now, when we are talking of millions and billions of transactions of ad impressions, we need an efficient mechanism to store data associated with all of these ad impressions, which can then be audited by all interested parties, so that they then have the confidence that yes, the data that is being presented is valid data. It is not just about being presented with data in a transparent way, but it's also about having the confidence through auditability that the data that is being presented to us is valid data. That is very, very important, and that needs to happen at scale. With Walrus and SWE, we are able to achieve just that, where we are able to store ad impression data in a cost-effective way, providing the assurance that this data is going to be available for all interested stakeholders, and that can then be audited and then notarized on SWE. So that deals with the problem of scalability, transparency, and auditability. Second, we need to be able to use all of this data, some of which is very, very confidential. I'll come to confidentiality in a minute. But we need to be able to use all of this data in providing tangible results, in arriving at tangible decisions, which then make a difference to the ad ecosystem. What do I mean? Let's take one example. When ad impression data is stored on Walrus, a storage solution like Walrus and notarized on SWE, it is not the end result. The end result is to use all of the data that is stored on Walrus, notarized on SWE, provides the assurance, provides the confidentiality. We need to use that data to arrive at financial reconciliation. We need to then say to the advertisers, look, here's a completely auditable record of all of the ad impressions. By analyzing that in an assured way, we are able to state that this is the amount of money that an advertising campaign has spent, and these are the publishers that it should be given to. And all of that can be audited by parties that are interested in the supply chain, whether they are the publishers or the advertisers. And I must confess, a lot of this data is confidential data that should not be made accessible to the general public. Now, all of the processing needs to happen in a confidential way, in a way that can be audited only by people who are authorized to do it. That is exactly what is provided by Nautilus, where Nautilus allows us to run all of this processing in a trusted execution environment, thereby providing the assurance that the ad impression data that is being stored on Walrus is used in the right manner, and the results are conclusive, auditable, and they provide the right kind of assurance to all interested parties. Where does SEAL come in? Advertising basically looks at and processes a lot of confidential information, whether that is information about the advertisers or the publishers or even users. So all of this data needs to be stored in a decentralized manner, in a manner that provides confidentiality and auditability to authorized parties only. Authorized being the key word here. SEAL provides us the ability to decentrally provide that confidentiality. That is where we are making use of the full stack that SWE has provided. Walrus for decentralized storage, SWE for transparency, auditability, and notarization of transactions, SEAL for encryption of data, providing confidentiality, and Nautilus for providing assurance that all the processing that is happening on data that is being stored on Walrus is providing the right kind of business value in a transparent, assured way. That is how Alkimi is using all of the products that Mr. Labs is providing.
Yeah, and we spent a lot of time during the development phase trying to find solutions for all of the things that SWE offers. And I think that's where it's great to have your own chain and have your own validators, but actually there is a massive cost to the business and resources in doing that. And even trying to find a partner who could do encryption at the edges was very difficult. And decentralized storage obviously solves a massive problem for us.
Exactly.
So I think it's obvious that SWE is the only enterprise network that is big enough and fast enough for us to be able to use.
And it helped a lot, given that they're also from the advertising ecosystem. They knew exactly the problems that we are trying to solve, and appreciation of the problem and then being able to work with us very closely in order to make sure that such a massive problem, such a massive industry finds a solution on their ecosystem has been amazing. They've been an amazing partner.
Yeah, and I think also to understand how important advertising is for the open internet, it's basically paid for the whole of the internet to exist as it stands right now. And a future in Web3 needs to have advertising as well. And us providing that across their rails means that we're kind of future-proofing Web3 to also include advertising as part of it.
Absolutely. And thanks very much for listening to this. We welcome you to the Alkimi ecosystem.
And next up, we're going to be talking about AdFi and why it's important for the Alkimi ecosystem.
See you on the other side.